The Deathworlders among us, the Galactic Academy was the most famous training center in the galaxy. Every year, young warriors from different planets came to this place to learn how to fight, survive, and protect their people. The Academy trained every kind of species, from strong lizard-like creatures to tall beings made of stone. But among them, one type of student was different. They were called Deathworlders. Deathworlders came from planets so dangerous that most life forms couldn't survive there. Their worlds were full of deadly animals, poisonous air, violent storms, and constant danger. Only the strongest and smartest could live there. Among these Deathworlders, the most feared species was humanity. Humans came from a world called Earth, a place full of disasters, predators, and wild nature. Other species often whispered stories about how humans could fight monsters with their bare hands or survive in places where no one else could. But many believed these were just old stories. Few had ever seen a human fight with their own eyes. In this year's new class, there was only one human. Her name was Kara. She was a young girl, about 17 cycles old, with short dark hair and cold blue eyes. Kara was small compared to the other students, but she moved with quiet confidence. She spoke very little and stayed away from the other. Cadets thought most of the alien students laughed at her behind her back. They called her weak and soft. That little human won't last a week, they joked. But none of them dared say it to her face, except one. Horak was a large, muscular alien from the planet Drathel. His skin was dark green and rough like stone, and he had sharp horns on his head. Horak was known for bullying weaker cadets, showing off his strength in every class. He believed no one could beat him. When he saw Kara on the first day, a cruel smile spread across his face. "Look at this tiny Deathworlder," Vorak growled loudly in the dining hall. "Is this what humans look like? I thought you monsters were supposed to be dangerous." Kara didn't answer. She kept eating her meal, ignoring his words. The room went quiet for a moment. Some cadets watched, expecting a fight. Others looked away, not wanting to get involved. Vorak slammed his fist on the table. "I'm talking to you, human." Kara slowly lifted her eyes and stared at him. Her expression didn't change. She looked calm, almost bored. That made Vorak even angrier. Before anything else could happen, the Academy's combat instructor entered the room. He was a tall, thin alien with 4 arms and a serious face. "Enough, Vorak," he shouted. "Save your energy for the training field." Vorak grunted and sat down, but his eyes stayed locked on Kara. He wasn't done yet. Later that day, during combat class, the instructor announced a sparring match for the next morning. Every cadet would face off against another in hand-to-hand combat. The rules were simple. No weapons, no killing blows, and no backing down. It was a test of skill, strength, and control. When the names were called, Kara's opponent was Vorak. Room filled with quiet whispers. "Poor girl," someone muttered. "She won't stand a chance," another said. "He'll crush her," a third added. But Kara remained silent. She didn't look scared. She simply nodded and stepped back into line. That evening, Vorak bragged to his group of friends. "I'll teach that Deathworlder her place. Tomorrow, I'll wrap my hands around her neck and squeeze until she begs." His friends laughed loudly. None of them noticed Kara standing in the shadows nearby, watching them with calm, cold eyes. Night fell on the Academy. The stars above the training ground shone like tiny diamonds. Kara stood alone under the sky, practicing slow, careful movements. Every step, every strike was precise. She remembered her father's words back on Earth. "It's not about strength, Kara. It's about timing, speed, and knowing where to hit." The next morning arrived quickly. The cadets gathered around the training ring, excited for the match. The Vorak stretched his arms, showing off his thick muscles. Kara walked in quietly, her face calm as always. The instructor raised a hand. No. Lethal moves. Begin when I give the signal. Vorak grinned. Kara stood still. The instructor's hand dropped. Begin. Vorak charged forward, roaring like an animal. Kara didn't move. The room held its breath. And in that moment, everyone would learn why Deathworlders were feared. The challenge of the training yard was alive with noise. Cadets from every corner of the galaxy gathered around the combat ring, whispering and placing bets. No one wanted to miss this match. It wasn't every day that a Deathworlder stepped into the ring against Vorak, the Academy's biggest bully. Vorak was already inside the ring, flexing his thick arms and grinning like a predator. His dark green skin shimmered under the morning sun, and his sharp horns caught the light. He pointed at Kara and growled, "Come on, little human. Let's see what you've got." Kara walked toward the ring slowly, her face calm, her steps steady. She wasn't nervous, and she wasn't afraid. The other cadets noticed, and it made them uneasy. Why isn't she scared? One cadet whispered, "Maybe she's too dumb to be afraid," another joked. "Or maybe she knows something we don't," a third muttered, watching her closely. Tarek, a young alien cadet with bright yellow eyes, stood near the edge of the crowd. Unlike the others, he wasn't laughing. He had seen Deathworlders fight before, years ago during a border skirmish. He remembered what they could do. Most of these fools have no idea what's about to happen. He thought, the combat instructor, a serious-looking alien named Jorvin, raised his hand and spoke loudly. "Listen well. This is a sparring match. No weapons. No lethal blows. Stop when ordered. Understood?" Both fighters nodded. Vor. Rack cracked his knuckles. "I'm going to enjoy this." Kara said nothing. Jorvin's hand dropped. "Begin." Without waiting, Vorak charged. His heavy feet shook the ground as he rushed at Kara like a stampeding beast. The crowd cheered, sure the match would be over in seconds. But Kara didn't move at the last possible moment, when Vorak's thick hands reached for her throat. She stepped aside. Vorak's massive body stumbled past her, and the cadets gasped. What just happened? Someone shouted. Vorak turned, his face red with anger. "Stop running, coward." Again, he attacked, throwing a wild punch. Kara ducked under it, her movements smooth and fast, like a shadow. Vorak's fist missed by inches. She could have hit him then. The opening was perfect. But she didn't. Kara was waiting for something. Vorak snarled, his rage building. "Hold. Still," he shouted. The third time he charged, Vorak managed to grab Kara's neck with both hands. His thick fingers wrapped around her throat, and he squeezed. "Yes!" His friends cheered from the sidelines, but something was wrong. Kara's face didn't change. No fear, no pain. Just calm, cold eyes staring back at him. Vorak frowned. "Why aren't you struggling?" He hissed. Kara's lips moved slightly. "Because you're too slow." Before Vorak could react, Kara's right hand shot up like lightning. She grabbed his wrist and twisted. A sharp, cracking sound filled the air. Vorak howled in pain, releasing her throat. Kara didn't stop. With her other hand, she struck the side of his collarbone, right at the weak point where bone met muscle. Another loud snap echoed through the yard. The entire crowd froze. Vorak's face twisted in shock. His body went limp, and he dropped to his knees, gasping. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Tarek smiled quietly. "Told you, fools," he thought. Jorvin stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Stop, the match is over." Kara released Vorak's broken arm and stepped back. She showed no emotion. No anger, no pride, just calm control. Vorak groaned on the ground, holding his shattered collarbone, and medics rushed in, lifting him onto a stretcher. His friends didn't follow. They were too stunned. One of the younger cadets whispered, "Is she even mortal?" Another answered, "That's a Deathworlder." As the crowd slowly broke apart, Kara turned and walked away. The cadets made space for her without being asked. Tarek stepped into her path. "Impressive," he said. "I tried to warn them." Kara looked at him for a moment. "They didn't listen." "No," Tarek nodded. "They never do." From a distance, a tall, well-dressed officer watched the scene. His sharp eyes followed Kara as she disappeared into the academy building. He tapped a communicator on his wrist. "Commander, we've confirmed it," he said softly. "The human girl is dangerous." The voice on the other end replied, "Good. Keep watching. She may be exactly what we need." The training yard was quieter now. The fight between Kara and Vorik had shaken everyone. Whispers filled the air, and cadets kept glancing toward the medbay where Vorik had been taken. No one had expected the human girl to win, and no one had expected her to do it so easily. Tarek stood near the combat ring, arms crossed, watching the empty space where Kara had fought. A few cadets spoke in low voices behind him. "I thought Deathworlders were myths," one muttered. "No one's ever broken Vorik like that," said another. "She moved like a ghost." Tarek stayed silent. He knew this wasn't over. Inside the academy halls, Kara walked alone, her face calm, her steps slow and controlled. She wasn't bothered by the stares or the nervous way others stepped aside to give her space. She was used to it. Back on Earth, she had faced worse things than loudmouth bullies, but she knew Vorik wasn't the last. That evening, during the weapons maintenance class, 3 alien cadets cornered her near the storage room. They were Vorik's friends. Bigger, meaner, and now angry. "You think you're clever, human?" snarled one, a bulky alien with orange scales. "You humiliated Vorik. We can't let that stand." Kara sighed, setting down the tool she was holding. "If you want to fight, do it properly, not like cowards." The aliens growled, stepping closer. One reached out, grabbing her by the collar of her uniform. And that was their mistake. In a single, smooth move, Kara caught the alien's wrist and twisted. There was a sharp crack. The alien screamed and dropped to his knees. The others hesitated, realizing this wasn't going to be as easy as they thought. Kara's voice was quiet, cold. "Go ahead. Make your move." The second alien charged. Kara sidestepped and drove her elbow into his throat. He collapsed, gasping for air. The third one froze. His courage vanished. He turned and ran down the hallway. Kara didn't chase him. A voice spoke from behind her. "Enough." She turned to see Instructor Jorvin standing there. He didn't look angry. He looked curious. "I warned them," Kara said simply. Jorvin nodded. "I saw everything. You're not reckless, Kara. You're careful, smart, controlled." She shrugged. "I fight when I must." Jorvin stepped closer. "Most cadets here show off their strength. You only use yours when needed. That makes you dangerous." Kara said nothing. "Report to my office tomorrow morning," Jorvin added. "There's someone who wants to meet you." He turned and left, leaving Kara alone once again. Later that night, in the command center above the academy, a group of high-ranking officers sat around a table. A hologram of Kara's fight with Vorik played in the air above them. The tall officer from before, Commander Razik, leaned forward. "This human girl is what we've been waiting for," he said. "She's not like the others." Another officer frowned. "Deathworlders are unpredictable, dangerous. Should we keep her here?" Razik smiled. "Yes, and watch her closely. She might be exactly the weapon we need." Meanwhile, back in the dormitory, Kara sat on her bed, sharpening a small combat knife. She wasn't worried about the cadets. They were loud, clumsy, and easy to read. But the officers, the ones watching from the shadows, they were different. She could feel their eyes on her. She didn't trust them. Trrek entered the room quietly and sat on the bed across from her. "You made quite a mess today," he said with a half-smile. "They started it," Kara replied. "I know. But you've got everyone talking now. The other Deathworlders back home will be proud." Kara looked at him for a moment. "I didn't come here to impress anyone." "Then why are you here?" Tarek asked. She was quiet for a while before answering. "To find out what they're hiding." Tarek raised an eyebrow. "Who?" Kara didn't answer, because deep down, she knew something wasn't right about this academy. Too many secret meetings. Too many eyes following her. Vorak was just the beginning. And whatever was coming next, she would be ready. She always was. As Tarek left, Kara stood and walked to the window. The stars above shone like scattered fireflies in the endless black, and she whispered to herself, "Come and try." Aftermath. The next morning, the academy felt different. The usual noise in the dining hall was gone. The cadets spoke in hushed voices, stealing quick glances toward Kara's table. Even the loudest bullies kept their heads down. Vorak was still. In the medbay, his arm and collarbone broken. The 3 cadets who attacked Kara had been sent home for medical leave. Though everyone knew what really happened, no one dared speak to Kara directly. She sat alone at her table, calmly eating her breakfast as if nothing unusual had happened. Around her, the atmosphere was tense. Tarek slid into the seat across from her. He didn't smile this time. His face was serious. "They're scared," he said quietly. "I noticed," Kara replied, sipping her drink. "You should be careful. It's not over. They won't forget what you did." "I hope not." Tarek sighed. "You don't make things easy, do you?" Kara shrugged. "I don't come here to make friends." Just then, a sharp voice echoed through the hall. "Cadet Kara, report to Commander Razik's office. Immediately." The room went silent again. Kara finished the last bite of her food, wiped her hands, and stood. No one moved as she walked toward the exit. Tarek watched her go. He didn't. Like this, something about it felt wrong. Commander Razik's office was high up in the academy tower. From the window, you could see the entire training yard, the weapons fields, and even the distant forests beyond the academy walls. Kara stood in front of the officer's desk, arms at her sides. Razik, tall and sharp-featured, studied her silently. For a long time. Finally, he spoke. "You've made quite a name for yourself, Kara." "I didn't ask for that," she replied. "No," Razik said with a cold smile. "But you earned it." He leaned back in his chair. "Tell me, do you know what Deathworlders like you are to the rest of this galaxy?" Kara raised an eyebrow. "A problem?" Razik chuckled. "Some think so. Others see you as a weapon." "I'm not a weapon," Kara said, her voice calm. "Maybe not yet. But you could be. With proper training, you could lead squads, crush rebellions, defeat armies. I don't take orders from people like you." Razik's smile faded. "You don't have a choice. You're in my academy now." For a long moment, neither spoke. The tension in the room thickened. Finally, Razik stood. "You're dismissed. But remember this, Kara. This isn't Earth. Here, strength matters more than words. Stay in line, or you'll find out how quickly this place can turn on you." Kara nodded once and turned to leave. As she reached the door, Razik added, "And one more thing, don't trust anyone. Not even your fellow Deathworlders." Kara paused, then walked out without a word. Back in the training yard, cadets were gathered for combat drills. The instructor, Jorvin, paired them off quickly. When Kara arrived, the cadets near her stepped back, pretending to look busy. No one wanted to spar with her now. Jorvin called out, "Tarek, Kara, you're up." The two stepped into the ring. "Go easy on me," Tarek joked softly as they circled each other. "No promises," Kara said, though a small grin tugged at the corner of her mouth. They moved, trading quick, clean blows. Tarek was fast, but Kara was faster. She controlled every step, every strike, never wasting a move. The match wasn't about hurting each other. It was a message to the others. "We are not weak." After several minutes, Jorvin called it. "Good, next pair." Tarek and Kara left the ring, breathing steady. As they wiped sweat from their faces, Tarek leaned closer. "I heard a rumor." "About?" "There's a group of high-level cadets planning something. They don't like you being here. Word is you'll be tested again soon." Kara's expression didn't change. "Let them come. You really don't care, do you?" "I've faced worse things back home." Tarek nodded. "I believe you." Above them, unknown to both, Commander Razik watched from a balcony. His sharp eyes followed Kara's every move. Beside him, another officer spoke. "She's dangerous. We should remove her." Razik shook his head. "Not yet. Let her show us what she's truly capable of." That night, Kara sat alone in her dormitory. The room was dark, except for the faint glow of the stars through the window. She kept a small combat knife beside her bed, a habit she learned long ago. She didn't trust this place. Too many secrets. Too many eyes watching. Vorak's attack was just the start. She could feel it, but that was fine. Kara had survived Deathworld storms, wild beasts, and war. This academy was nothing compared to Earth. She closed her eyes, whispering. To herself, "They still don't understand, but they will." And somewhere in the shadows of the academy, the next challenge was already waiting. The Whisper Network rumors spread faster than light at the Galactic Academy. By the next morning, every cadet knew the story of how Kara, the human girl from Earth, had broken Vorak's collarbone and sent 3 others to the medbay. No one spoke to her directly, but everywhere she went, she could hear the whispers. "That's the Deathworlder. She broke Vorak like he was nothing. Don't get near her if you value your bones." Some cadets watched her with fear in their eyes, others with quiet respect. A few wore cold, angry faces. Not everyone liked having a human in their academy, especially not one who proved she was tougher than them. But Kara didn't care. She moved through the academy like a ghost, silent, calm, dangerous. She trained harder than before, pushing her body past its limits. Every punch, every kick, every movement was precise. The instructors noticed. Even the higher officers started watching her more closely. Tarek stayed close too. Unlike the others, he wasn't afraid of Kara. He knew what Deathworlders were capable of and respected it. One evening, after combat class, he caught up to her near the armory. "Trouble's coming," he said quietly. Kara raised an eyebrow. "More of Vorak's friends?" Tarek shook his head. "Bigger than that. There's a group, upper-class cadets, the ones with family names and power. They don't like what you did. They don't like what you are. They can dislike it from a distance," Kara said, tightening the strap on her gear. "They won't." Tarek warned. "They've started a whisper network. Secret meetings. Quiet plans. I heard them talking last night." "What did they say?" "They're planning to test you. Not in a match. Not in front of the instructors. Off the record. No rules." Kara's expression didn't change. "Good," Tarek sighed. "I figured you'd say that." Before either of them could speak again, a voice came from behind them. "You're braver than you look, human." They turned to see an alien cadet leaning against the wall. He was tall and lean, with pale gray skin and cold black eyes. His name was Jernuk, one of the Academy's best fighters, and one of the upper cadets Tarek had warned about. "I hear you like breaking bones," Jernuk continued, his voice low and mocking. "Let's see if you're snapped the same way." Kara stared at him, unblinking. "Anytime?" Jernuk smiled. "Soon." He turned and walked away. Tarek let out a slow breath. "This isn't good." Kara adjusted the combat knife strapped to her. "Boot. For them, no, it isn't." That night, the Academy was unusually quiet. The halls felt heavier, the air thick with unspoken tension. Kara stayed in her room, cleaning her weapons and sharpening her knife. She wasn't worried. She had lived her entire life surrounded by danger. On Earth, storms tore apart cities, and wild beasts hunted in the forests. She had fought off bandits, twice her size. The Academy's threats felt small compared to home. Still, she stayed alert. Outside her window, a group of cadets moved through the shadows. Whispers passed between them, carrying words of warning, hate, and fear. "Tonight, we'll finish it. She won't walk away." Inside, Kara smiled to herself. She could feel them getting closer. At that moment, her communicator beeped. A message from Tarek. "Be careful. They're coming." Kara sent no reply. She didn't need to. Meanwhile, in the Academy's command tower, Commander Razik watched the surveillance screens. His sharp eyes followed the group of cadets moving toward Kara's quarters. An officer beside him shifted uncomfortably. "Should we stop them?" Razik shook his head. "No, let them try. It's time we see just how far the Deathworlder's limits go." The officer frowned. "And if she kills them?" "Then they deserve it," Razik said coldly. "Back." In the dormitory hallway, 6 cadets gathered outside Kara's door. Jernuk stood at the front, his face twisted with a cruel grin. "Ready?" He whispered. The others nodded. Jurnak raised his hand to knock the door down, but before he could touch it, the door opened by itself, and Kara stood there, already waiting. She held her combat knife loosely in one hand. Her cold blue eyes locked onto Jernuk's. "Took you long enough," she said quietly, without hesitation. The fight exploded. The narrow hallway filled with sharp blows, shouts, and the sound of bodies hitting the walls. Kara moved like a storm. Fast, precise, merciless. Every strike landed with perfect aim. 2 cadets went down before they could even raise a hand. The third grabbed her arm, but she twisted, dislocating his shoulder with a sharp snap. The fourth tried to tackle her, and she slammed him against the wall, knocking him out cold. Only Jernuk was left. He swung at her with a long, thin blade. Kara ducked, grabbed his wrist, and twisted hard. There was a sickening crack. Jernuk dropped the blade and dropped to his knees. Kara crouched beside him. "Is this your big plan?" Jernuk gritted his teeth. You don't belong here." Kara leaned closer, her voice a cold whisper. "I belong wherever I want." She let him fall to the floor and stood, glancing at the others. "I told you before," she said to no one in particular. "Don't start something you can't finish." She turned and walked away, leaving the broken bodies behind. And in the shadows, Tarek watched with a small, proud grin. The Deathworlder legacy by morning. The Academy knew what had happened. 6 upper-class cadets had been found beaten, bruised, and broken in the dormitory hallway. None of them could explain what went wrong. Jernuk's wrist was shattered. 2 others had cracked ribs, and the rest were barely conscious. The instructors questioned them, but no one gave a clear answer. Only one name passed between cadets and whispers. Kara, the Deathworlder girl, who had done what no one else dared. In the training yard, cadets stared as she passed. They didn't mock her now. No one laughed. No one dared. Some moved aside quickly. Others nodded with quiet respect. Even the loudest bullies kept their distance. Said nothing. She didn't care about their stares. She hadn't come for attention. She hadn't come to prove herself to anyone. She had come because she was a Deathworlder, and no one, not in this galaxy or any other, could break her. Tarek caught up to her near the weapons racks. "You're a legend now," he said with a grin. "I don't want to be," Kara replied. "Too late." She glanced at him. "More trouble coming?" "Not today," Tarek said. "The upper cadets got a message loud and clear. Even Razik's watching you differently now." Kara didn't smile, but a flicker of amusement showed in her eyes. They trained together that afternoon. Combat drills, weapons practice, and survival tactics. Kara moved with deadly focus. Every blow she delivered was sharp, fast, and precise. She was faster than before, stronger, and even the instructors noticed. By sunset, Commander Razik summoned her to the tower once again. Kara stood before him, arms at her sides. "You've caused quite the mess, Deathworlder," Razik said. Pacing slowly behind his desk. Kara didn't respond. "But you've also proven something," he continued. "You don't break, you don't bend, and you don't run." He stopped in front of her. "The galaxy's full of weaklings. Soft species who hide behind their ships and their walls. We need Deathworlders like you. I'm not interested in being your weapon," Kara said quietly. Razik chuckled. "You don't have to be. But understand this. Whether you like it or not, your people have a reputation. When Deathworlders fight, the galaxy watches. And now they'll be watching you." Kara met his stare without flinching. "Let them." For a moment, Razik almost smiled. "You'll go far, girl, or you'll die young. I'll take my chances." Razik nodded, dismissed. Kara turned and left the office, the cold stars above the academy shining bright. Through the windows. Later that night, Kara sat by the edge of the training grounds, a small fire burning in front of her. Tarek sat beside her, a ration pack in hand. "You really shook this place up," he said. "They asked for it." "You think you'll stay?" Kara shrugged. "For now." Tarek watched the flames. "There's talk about war coming. Something big. A new enemy in the outer systems. Rumors say they're worse than anything the galaxy's faced." Kara tossed a small stone into the fire. "Good. I was getting bored." Tarek laughed softly. "Of course you were." They sat in silence. For a while, the stars above endless and cold. The academy might have been dangerous, but it was nothing compared to Earth. Kara knew real storms, real beasts, real war. And she knew, sooner or later, she'd face worse than Vorak and his cowardly friends. She welcomed it. Behind them, a pair of instructors passed by. One whispered, "That human girl. She's not normal." The other replied, "No Deathworlder ever is." Far across the galaxy, on a distant Deathworld called Earth, an old soldier watched a screen showing Kara's combat reports. A scar crossed his cheek, and his eyes were sharp and full of pride. "She's ready?" he muttered to himself. A younger officer beside him asked, "Ready for what, Commander?" The old soldier smiled faintly. "For whatever this galaxy throws at her." Because Deathworlders didn't survive by luck. They survived because they refused to fall. And now the galaxy would remember why. The end.